Hey guys, Marsing in here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today I'm finally getting round to uploading the compilation video of beating all of the three major red zone bosses, Omega, BROLY and the Metal Cooler Core. No items with the Gohan team. So these ones definitely were more difficult than the Piccolo one, obviously, because, you know, Piccolo's the best unit in the game, has the giant form, which definitely helps with these tougher bosses. And also I did mention, I think in the Piccolo one, I kind of specifically set myself the rule that because I was going to do separate compilations for both characters and their teams, that I wasn't going to use the other one on the other team. So if you watched the Piccolo one, you obviously saw that Gohan was not on any of the teams during those runs, and as you can see from these, Piccolo is not on the team for any of these runs. Obviously that would make things a lot easier, but I kind of, especially when it comes to Gohan, I feel like Piccolo would kind of steal the show in a lot of places against the bosses, so it felt kind of disingenuous to say that, like, oh, you know, this is Gohan, no item running all of these bosses, when potentially Piccolo was doing all of the work. So obviously we're starting off here with Omega. Omega Shenron, obviously the easiest out of the three. The fact that you can stun in the first phase is obviously very useful, especially for these units. We have quite a few units on the team that want to stack, right? We have Gohan himself, who needs to get off his super attacks. We have the gods, we have AGL Kid Gohan, who I think is a very good addition for Gohan's team. Provides key defense support. He has the active skill with the heal. Very, very good. But basically the way I've been running Gohan and his team is, I feel like you do kind of need to run a lot of supports with him if you really want him to look his best. So obviously we have Pan, we have Kid Gohan, we have Gamma 1. I think I've mentioned this, I think I mentioned it actually when I was doing my top 10 units, like end of year tier list. But when it comes to running Gamma 1 or Gamma 2, like if you're only going to run one of them on the team, I prefer to run Gamma 1, because obviously he is the better one defensively. He's there to be in a support role, so it's obviously more important for me that he be good defensively, because once we get our rotation set up, he's basically just going to be floating in slot 3, providing that little bit of support to the team, but whilst obviously at the same time having the good defense. He does also have the ability to counter physical super attacks if we get into a situation where that can be a case. I think we saw in the Piccolo one, he countered the Metal Cooler Army super attack 2 turns in a row, so he definitely can be very, very useful. When it comes down to Gohan, obviously a lot of it is going to be down to the luck of whether you get the additionals. I mean, you can see here, even on this rotation, where we're not exactly dripping in support, we've got no support. When we get the 2 supers off, he's taking double digits from the STR Omega. I mean, obviously we would expect top tier units at this point in the game to take double digits from normal attacks, especially if it's not the last phase. But, you know, he has type disadvantage and no support, so that is good that he is still doing that. I have said many times before, Gohan at his best is really good. Like, if Gohan was at his best every turn, like, you know, not even necessarily with the super effective against all types, but like the numbers that he's putting out, getting that additional super and then potentially the additional from the hidden potential, you see there, we completely negated the Ki Blast super. Like, if he's looking his best every turn, I think you could easily argue him as like a top 5 unit, but obviously most people's complaints and disappointment is the fact that he's not like that every single turn. I mean, you can see here, I probably misplayed with the orbs a little bit and could have dropped them down better, but even with picking up type orbs and with a 3 key support unit on the rotation, I was still only able to get 19 key on this turn with Gohan. Now, I could have transformed the Tech Gohan and he would have needed less key to super, and then it would obviously have guaranteed a super with, or it would have guaranteed the 20 key with Gohan, but when it comes to doing these, especially if we're doing like no item runs, I obviously don't want to, I want to get as many stacks with the Tech Gohan as possible. So, did a quick defense check there. Gohan obviously has type advantage and actually did have, I think, slightly higher defense than Kid Gohan. So, in this instance, it made sense to put him in slot 1. And look at that, we finally get the 3 super turn with our boy. And Omega goes ahead and dodges 2 of them. So, Quite unfortunate, because we would have been able to do an insane amount of damage on that turn if that were the case. When it comes to Omega and doing no item runs, you ideally want to be able to beat him before the end of the second turn, when he launches the crazy death ball, like you're dead super attack. But this team is definitely capable of doing so. So, bust out the special beam cannon, bust out the transformation into Ultimate Gohan. Now, funnily enough, in this situation, using the special beam cannon is actually a little bit... well, I guess the damage the special beam cannon does makes up for it, right? But by cancelling out the only action in slot 1, it means that Tech Ultimate Gohan didn't get attacked before he attacked, which means he obviously didn't get the damage bonus. But, I mean, obviously it's non-consequential, really, because Gohan just comes in, gets his super attacks, and finishes off Omega. Omega definitely the easiest of the three, not in general as well, but specifically for Gohan, because he has type advantage over the last phase. So we're able to do pretty well with the key, and we move on to Broly. So the reason why, well, one of the reasons why this video took so long to even get up in the first place is because the Broly stage was the one that gave me the most trouble. And I have talked about this in previous videos and stuff before, but Broly's event is, I think, the hardest out of the main red zone bosses to get a no item run on, solely because of the fact that he disables dodge and has the AoE phase as the third phase. When you're trying to do a no item run, even if you have like a scouter effect, it doesn't really matter. Like if you get a rotation where he's super attacking you in slot 1, and you have even one unit on that rotation who needs to get a super attack to get all of their defense, then you could just die, which is pretty crazy. So this is the one run, I think, out of the 3, where after failing this a couple of times, I think it was like 2 days in a row, I failed all 3 attempts. And I think at that point, I'd already put up the Piccolo video. So I decided to throw Vegeta and Trunks on the team. I think I replaced Kid Gohan with them, actually, funnily enough, because the day before I actually got this run, this was the first run of the day, funnily enough, when I actually did it, but the last run I'd done of the day before, I really thought I was actually going to win and finish it off that time. I got through the AoE phase and everything, and then AGL Broly super attacked AGL Kid Gohan, and even though he'd gotten a decent amount of build up throughout the event, that was him like one shot, and that was the last attempt of the day failed. So even though I do think he's really good for the team, for the support, and the active skill can be really useful, yeah, he gets manhandled by Broly. Like on a team with no scouter effect, when you're fighting a boss that can super twice in one turn and potentially one shot some of your weaker units, I felt like it was time to drop him from the team and bring in someone who is a little bit better defensively. So Vegeta and Trunks got added to the team. I know their synergy with Gohan is not particularly great. I think there are even turns where I don't even get like their 18 key super, just because I want to make sure I get orbs for Gohan. And then situations like this where Gohan still has his guard, and if you saw how little health Broly had left, I was very much aware that if I put Vegeta and Trunks in slot 1, even if I only got their 12 key super, if they went off with their additionals and got like 3 supers, they probably would kill him. And obviously we want to get Gohan as built up as much as we can as early as possible, so I put him in slot 1 just to get that extra super attack off. I don't think we even got the 18 key, but him getting an extra super is obviously better than him not getting any supers. And then again, you can see here when there's no key support, unfortunately the orb's just not allowing me to get 20 key. We got the 18 key, but no 20 key, unfortunately. Double super from Tech Gohan is obviously very good. This is a decent rotation in terms of if he is going to AoE super. If he AoE'd before Tech Gohan attacked, then obviously he would have taken a little bit of extra damage. But after him getting the double super, we are very much in a position now. You can see here, in comes the super. Gohan takes 62k, our boy LR Gohan takes 0, and then God Goku takes double-digit damage. So definitely very, very good. The only reason why I used the special beam cannon this early is because obviously it's A, super effective against all types, and then B, it does the action break, because you never know, that first attack of the turn could have been him super attacking again. So I think when it comes to beating this AoE stage in particular, getting rid of as many of his attacks as you can is probably going to be the most beneficial. And also, I actually didn't know at the time of recording, but the turn where you activate his active skill, apparently he gets effective against all types and the 70% chance to super as if you'd gotten 24 key. So on the turn where you get his, where you use his active skill, you actually don't have to worry about getting to 20 key. So he was able to finish off the phase there. We transform into Ultimate Gohan, potentially a little bit early just in terms of how much he's stacked at this point, but obviously we have type advantage as well, which really helps. And then yeah, I realized I misplayed the orbs again here, so I was trying to figure out what to do. Decide to use the active skill, which I guess works out nicely because again I didn't know this at the time, but by using the active skill it means he's now going to get that chance to additional super and the effective against all types. And of course, typical luck, we action break, get rid of the first attack of the turn, and so then the next attack is a super. But fortunately, Ultimate Gohan not taking that much damage. Gohan still letting us down with the additional chance. If that is indeed true, then both times that it's happened, he's only got the normal attack, which is unfortunate. And then, funnily enough, I completely forgot that the final Broly's super attack is considered a Ki Blast super, because obviously when the animation starts, it's him charging at you. So Gohan again coming in clutch with the nullification, so we take 0 damage, and then the gods doing a pretty decent chunk of damage here. So this is the situation where Vegeta and Trunks being on the team is obviously very helpful, because now they're able to just hold down slot 1. It doesn't really matter if he super attacks. They haven't had a huge amount of build up throughout the event, but they would have survived a super from him in slot 1 even before they got their supers off. And then we get some good RNG. They triple super, so their defense for this turn is now very high, so they would be perfectly fine with a super. No super incoming, and then Gohan 12 million attack. Another super negated. I mean, Gohan definitely did very, very well in this run when it came to negating the super attacks for us, because we got one during the AoE phase, and then yeah, 2 in this phase, like back to back basically super attack negation. And then yeah, if Ultimate Gohan doesn't finish him off here, we now have the perfect turn. We got 24 key thanks to huge stack of int orbs, and so in a fitting fashion, Gohan himself is going to finish off Broly here. 12 million, effective against all types. See you later, Broly. And that is the Broly run done. So like I say, this was absolutely the hardest one out of the 3. I think it always is when it comes to no item runs, again, because of the AoE. Like, sometimes there's just no way around it. Like, again, even if you have a scouter effect and stuff like that, there are some teams where you get to that AoE phase, you see the first rotation, and you're like, well, I've lost. But we managed to pull it through, and now we go on to the Metal Cooler Core. So I actually got some very good RNG with this one. I think this was another one where this was actually the first attempt to get the no item run, because if you look at the wheel at the bottom, we have no Gohan on this turn. We have one Gohan on turn 2 and the other one on turn 3. Getting both Gohans on the same turn is really awkward, because the fact they only guard for 3 turns, so if you float one of them off, by the time they come back, their guard has already run out, which is very unfortunate. But the 3 turns of guard starts from their first appearance. So if one of the Gohans is in slot 7 and he's appearing for the first time on turn 3, then it means he has guard for 3 turns from then, which of course is very good, because we are always going to be going against the Metal Cooler Core on turn 4. So that means this Gohan gets his guard on turn 2, 3, and 4. So for the first appearance of the core, this Gohan's going to have his guard, and then because the other one was in slot 7, he's going to have his guard on the next turn. So that is actually really, really beneficial for the team, just for Gohan to have that guard up as long as possible. Unfortunately, it doesn't come through with the additional super though. We have already taken quite a lot of damage, so it's kind of funny to think that we do obviously end up getting a successful no item run on this attempt when we've already lost that much HP. But yeah, I still like to run the gods on this team, even if they end up just as a floater. They get a lot of extra key. Once we decide to transform them, their 18 key super is obviously like the action break, so they can be very, very good. They don't synergize the best with Gohan, but I find using them on the team is still very, very useful against some of these bosses. So And the good thing about the Metal Cooler army always lasting for 3 turns is we saw it happen, especially in the Omega run at the beginning, where Gohan can get his first super of the turn and then kill the enemy and like end the phase, so he doesn't get the opportunity to do an additional super. But obviously against the Metal Cooler army, you can't do that because you can't kill them. You have to fight them for 3 turns. Unfortunately, though, as I was explaining that, Gohan, yet again, not getting an additional super, so I certainly was a bit concerned as we got to this point with the fact we've had very few additionals, but we come into this fight with a very good starting rotation here. We're able to use Kid Gohan's active skill straight away, so we've got a heal, everyone's got a nice defense buff, there's a nice safe spot in the middle to hide Gohan, so regardless of which spot the Metal Cooler Core super attacks, we should be fine, because again, like I said earlier, Gohan still has his guard, has the extra defense buff, and then when it counts, at least I guess, when we get to the core, Gohan actually getting the additional supers, so definitely contributing a decent amount of damage to start us off. And then Gamma 1 eating the super attack. He still has his guard, still takes quite a lot of damage, so the Kid Gohan active skill definitely coming in helpful there with the extra defense. And then our boy Gohan sealed in the middle slot, so I'm just taking a few moments here to think about what to do. I go ahead and activate the Ultimate Gohan active skill because we obviously need to get through this as quickly as we can. Since Gohan's sealed anyway, I didn't worry about getting ki for him. Go ahead and use the God's active skill, get 24 ki with them. So, I mean, we're still looking okay on this turn, but obviously the Gods, even once transformed, you know, they could potentially be in danger, so them you getting their 18 ki super, they're going to action break away the only attack that they would be taking for the turn, which basically guarantees their safety. I think Tech Gohan getting super attacked in slot 1 before he attacked would have potentially been quite bad, but obviously that was not the case. We did get pretty lucky there. I think physical Gohan, especially on that turn where he was unable to super attack, I think a super attack from the Metal Cooler Core on him potentially would have been GG. So this is a good turn for having Ultimate Gohan in slot 1, because even if his guard lets us down, we're fighting a physical enemy anyway, and then he double supers, so with Kid Gohan's support, his defense very good on this turn, but gets the double digits. I guess he guards anyway, right, because it's a physical enemy, but now that Gohan's actually able to super, look at that, we get the triple super turn with crits as well rolled in, and Metal Cooler Core is finished. So I think, to be fair, we did make that run look fairly easy, even though we did take a lot of damage early on. Like, you could say there was a bit of luck with the super attack placements, but we definitely had a very solid run, and that is all 3 big red zone bosses beaten with double Gohan team, no Piccolo on the team. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.